Hello, beautiful souls. So today we are moving on with the lessons, and today's lesson 18. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. And I really like this lesson because, again, it is another, stepping stone in learning that our thoughts that give rise to what we see in our world are neither neutral or unimportant. But it also emphasizes the idea that minds are joined. And this is the point where I often rest in, that truth is shared. That we literally have one mind. And we all can communicate with the spirit within us that reminds us of this truth. So today, we are getting to realize that I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thinking, because when I choose to experience from the mind of fear, I will see a world of fear, thus contribute to this world of insanity, and thus we are all receiving the effects of our thinking, because we're keeping the fear-based mind intact, and thus we have this world of insanity and illusion and fear and death intact. But when we change our mind and accept that we share one mind and that our minds are joined and thus are receiving guidance from the voice for love and following God's will, then what happens is a world shows up to reflect our change in mind. So again, we are this is affecting everyone because now we are able to project on this blank canvas a new earth. And this is ultimately how we bring heaven here, is by remembering that heaven is a state of being, and this being is what we are. And therefore, naturally, as God's children, we reside in this state of love, we reside in this state of heaven, and this is a shared reality, this is a shared experience, and we all get to experience this when we remember that our minds are joined. So today is the beginning of this, to realize that the world in which I choose to demonstrate is the world that I will give, and in the giving of that world, I'm going to receive it. So either it's going to continue to be this world as we know it, looking out in the streets and seeing all the separation with, the starving kids in Africa and the obese people in the States and the complete epitome of scarcity and lack and fear and war. Like, that's what we see out there right now, because that is the projection of the fearful thinking mind. But today, we are saying that I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thinking. Therefore, this should inspire us to continue on this path of mind training so that we can literally shift our perception so that we can now see the love of God here and project the love of God here and finally bring heaven to earth and finally co-create this world of harmony and community and joy and everything that we want it to be. But first, before it changes in our outer world, it must and has to change in our inner world. So thank you, everybody, for doing your part. Because, again, we're not alone in experiencing the effects of our seeing. So to continue onward with the course lesson, it's saying, today's idea does not refer to what you see as much as how you see it. Right? Because what we see is also form. It's with the eyes. But it's, again, who is the seer? Who is looking? Is it the Holy Spirit who's seeing it, or is it the ego that's seeing it? Are you seeing it through the eyes of love, or are you seeing it through the eyes of fear? That is what we're going to focus on today, the source of it all. It says, therefore, the exercises for today will emphasize this aspect of your perception. Right? Perception equals projection. The 3 or 4 practice periods which are recommended should be done as follows. Selecting subjects for the application of the idea randomly. Look at each one long enough to say, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see this phone. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see this laptop. And we do this until we feel that we're complete for the day, and then we read, conclude the practice period by repeating the more general statement. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So the minute or so, or even less, will be sufficient. So this is just the beginning steps of us putting our emphasis on our perception, again, noting that we are the ones who are responsible for how we see this world, and as we change how we see the world changes. And I think that's it. I think that's all that needs to be said with this lesson today, because it's quite whole unto itself. So we can sit with the thought, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, and then we can see all the beauty and miracles that come along with believing and accepting this thought. We share it with each other. So enjoy. I love you all. Peace out.